Our next entry in subject color street photography is In the Street.
The title fits. I've got lots of detail in some of the blacks. I've got this a little bit muddy due to the flat light. Now, let's talk about that. The people that shoot cars, and specifically hot rods with a lot of chrome and a lot of glossy surfaces on them, they want to shoot those on an overcast day. So I'm not necessarily saying that that is a bad thing. You do not shoot hot rod classic shiny cars on bright sunshiny days. That's just a fact. I'm just noticing that. I can see the photographer in the headlight lens. That should have been taken out or moved accordingly. I shoot a lot of cars. I do a lot of car calendars, etc. I shoot for almost all the hot rod and classic car companies here, the clubs here. And this angle is perfect for showing off the engine with the hood up. It is not perfect for showing off the car. It's too much of the front of the car and not enough of the side of the car. So I would personally like to see a slightly different angle and moved over to the, probably brought down just a little bit camera level, and then brought over to the right to see more of the side of the car. As I said earlier, this is a perfect position to show off the engine if the hood is up. Other than that, it's tack sharp. Hey, sorry, I got dogs in the background. Luca, come lay down. Composition is a 3, impact is a 3, technical is a 3. Yeah.
In the Street by Will Murray, 9 points. Next up, In Training.
Very sharp, shows motion very easily. It's a non-distracting background. It's slightly underexposed, and I say that because we've got lots of detail in some of the blacks here, so that needs to be addressed, but it's very slight. There is a possible color shift here. I think it needs a little red. I could be wrong, but I looked at, whenever that happens, I look at it on more than one monitor, and it just seems a little off to me. Something in my brain says this is not accurate. I think adding a little red would help. Please try please try a clip or two of red and see if it doesn't make it a little more actual, real. Composition is a 5, couldn't get any better than that. Impact is a 4, technical is a 4.
In Training by Donna Larson, 13 points. Next is Love Bites.
Very cute. How could you look at this and not go, oh, wow, did that hurt? And I bet it did. I bet those things are pretty powerful on those Pelicans. I said good capture, and that's true. Great title, nice exposure. Would like to see a little different composition so that the shoes are not cut off. Possibly not so tight. So maybe zoom out just a little bit so I can see the bottom of the shoes, or zoom in tighter and bring the camera down into the right a little bit. I do like seeing the other Pelicans in the shot, but I would like to see what another capture of this would be in that series and see if it helps it. As I told you earlier, I don't like seeing the shoes cut off. Simple as that. Love the title, by the way, Love Bites. Composition is a 3, impact is a 4, technical is a 4.
Love Bites by Dora Davis, 11 points. Then we have Morning Solitude.
I love the mood and the feel of this. I think it was mostly done in post-production, but that haze, that really dramatic, frosty feel, and I think it was done in post, but whatever it was done is good. Morning Solitude, great title. Love the mood of this. The subdued colors work very well together. It's sharp. The exposure is nice. Obviously, I would remove this distraction in the lower left. I know it was there, and I know some people say that it anchors the subject in. I disagree. This brings you, because this is lighter color, it brings your eye to its secondary. You know, first thing you look at in any image is the brightest spot. So you go right here, then you go to the subject, and then over to here. I don't want it to go out of the scene. Love the shadow, by the way. Composition is a 3. Impact is a 4. Technical is a 5.
Morning Solitude by Nancy Wagner, 12 points. Then we have Outside the Oculus.
This image and subject matter has huge potential. It's very sharp. I love the patterns and the lines. The leading lines are awesome. I would, however, reframe it so that the foreground people right here are not walking out of the scene. That's really the only thing I see that I go, well, okay, if I had to, I'd get rid of this sign. It's kind of wonky. But, you know, having these people looking to the right and having that so tight and so tight at the bottom, I think detracts from it. I would love to see this reframed over and down so that you could see a little more of what the direction that they're looking at. Again, love the leading lines. I'm not really bothered by the overexposure, loss of detail up here. That doesn't bother me because the lines bring you right into where it needs to be. But if you think about it, when you look at this image, instantly goes to the brightest spot, all these lines take you down, and you look right here and you instantly ask yourself, what are they looking at? You need more room over here to the right, and I wouldn't chop off the shoes as well. And I'm assuming that's the Oculus. I have no clue where this is. Decent title. Composition is a 2. Impact is a 4. Technical is a 3.
Outside the Oculus by Robin DeWolf, 9 points. Oxcart Boy.
Love this. I loved it from the second I pulled it up. In fact, when I pulled it up, I just went, oh, wow. And my eye instantly goes to here, and then it starts going around and seeing all of these little sub details that keep bringing my eye back into here. I love the fact that this boy is smiling, but not too much. I love the catch light in the eyes. I love the fact that this kid's in competition. Look at here, you know, he's got a band on there for the rides on the other part of the fair. That's what it feels like. He's got a competition banner on him, so he's competing against other riders there. Look at here. Oh my goodness. You know, and at first you think, well, that's a horse. No, it's not. That's a steer, you know, and all the really great detail in the leathers. I'm not bothered by the loss of detail in the blacks here, because if it had too much there, it would leave your eye there too much. I think this is done very, very well. I find very few things in here that I would change. Composition is a 5. Impact is a 4. Very close to a 5. And technical is a 5.
Oxcart Boy by Tony Horpel, 14 points. Then we've got Pike Place Balloon Man.
Very colorful, tack sharp, exposed well for the flat light it had. You can see by the shadows or lack thereof underneath this man and the stool and the bicycle and the chain link fence there that this was either it had something covering over the top of it, or was not a brightly lit day. If that goes to the outside, you kind of can't tell from there whether it does or not. I would like to see, let's see here. I would like to see this a little less tight. In other words, zoom out a little bit. Love to see the top of the hat if it doesn't go up too far. And I'd like to see a little more over here on the left and just a hair more on the bottom. Do not chop off the top of the hat. Other than that, I think it's done very well. I like how the fact you can barely see what he's looking at. He's actually, it looks like he just made this little dog balloon notice that is not sharp. In other words, that's moving. So he's handing it to a little kid. That's what it looks like. I'd love to see more of this scene. Composition is a 3, impact is a 4, technical is a 4.
Pike plays Balloon Man by Beverly Hardin, 11 points. Next is Pike Street.
Love this. Has a great feel to it. It's very emotional for me. I love the tonality of the colors, which seems like if you were right there, the colors would be a little more yellow. They wouldn't be white. Love the fact that it looks like it just rained. The street's all wet. The grittiness of the brick street down here and the lights shining against it. The cars, they don't bother me at all. In fact, without the cars, it wouldn't be as impactful as it is. Maybe shot sometime around Christmas because it's still got Christmas lights up. That doesn't bother me a bit. And the skyscrapers in the background looks like it's getting towards evening. This is probably a longer exposure than normal, and it was probably darker than it is. Has a wonderful feel to it. Is simple yet impactful. Leading lines work well. Very sharp and exposed nicely. Composition is a 5. Impact is a 4. Again, very close to a 5. And technical is a 5.
Pike Street by Steve Whitaker, 14 points.
Woo.
Next, Pretzels, anyone?
Great documentary image of this man's business. The light is somewhat flat. Again, look underneath things and see what I'm talking about as far as shadows. I would like to see this man in a different pose. He seems to be just standing there kind of contemplating life. If this is what he does, don't you think he needs to be, and if the title is Pretzels Anyone, maybe a pretzel in his hand reaching out and you can see the words coming out of his mouth, pretzel, kind of thing. I'd love to see that. I realize if you did that, it would have been, getting him to do it if he wasn't doing it naturally would have been set up, but I think it would have been more impactful, especially with the title. It would have been more engaging. After looking at this a while and having it hit me in the back of the head saying, what would really make it for this? Fairly rare for me to pick an image like this and say this. I think this image would have been more impactful in black and white. I did not change it to black and white, but I'd love to see what that would do. So to get him to be more animated, holding a pretzel and looking like he's shouting out to bring people into his business, if you could, more directional lighting. I would not use flash or off-camera flash. I would wait on a day it looks like it's outside because you can see back into here. Wait on a day where you've got some more intense light, maybe even at night with these lights on. That would be kind of cool. Anyway, good image. Would just like to see him more animated in a different lighting setup. Composition is a 4. Impact is a 3. Technical is a 4.
Pretzels, anyone by Sister Madonna, 11 points. Repairs on the Street.
Good title. Love that the main subject is not looking directly into the camera. It may look like he is, but he's not. So the colors work very well together. It is slightly underexposed, needs straightened. I just think it would have helped having this door jamb and the horizontal lines here straightened up. I think it would have helped it a little bit. It definitely keeps my eye, all of these elements keep my eye in the scene. Nothing takes me out. I just think with a slight exposure change and straightening this out, it would have been a little more impactful. Composition is a 4. Impact is a 3. Technical is a 4. By the way, it took me zooming in to tell that this guy really, it looks like he's looking at you, but if you zoom in, you'll see he's really not.
Repairs on the Street by Barbara Murray, 11 points. Street racer.
Love it. Obvious HDR. It's very sharp. The lighting is very nice. I personally would have zoomed out just a little to show more room for the shadow down here and the cyclist in the back. By the way, it takes a while, and you're probably, if you're seeing this for the first time, you're just now recognizing there's a third recumbent bicyclist back here. So that doesn't really bother me, but if, you know, it would have been nice to have that not there, either taken at a time period, set it up again, etc., where you only had two, because that is, after you look at it a bit, it takes a little minute to look at it to see that there is a third one in there. But you know, maybe if you redid this and reshot it and repositioned yourself, you also wouldn't have this fluorescent orange pylon back there between his arms. Again, obvious HDR, done very well. Would like to see it repositioned and the third recumbent out of there. Composition is a 4, impact is a 4, technical is a 4.
Street Racer by Terry Hamilton, 12 points. Next, Streets of NYC.
It's very sharp. It's exposed well for the natural lighting that was there. It takes a minute to see that they are taking a picture. When you look around there, it takes a few seconds to see that he's got a camera in his hand and she's kind of posing. Overall, the image is flat. No real fault of the photographer. That's just the light that you had that day. Would like to see this less tight. It's a little tight on his shoe right here, especially on the left and the bottom. There is a little bit of vignetting around it. I think it might help a little bit, but with different lighting, and the different lighting would actually change the color cast. As you can see, this kind of has a little bit of a blue color cast to it. So change of lighting would warm that up a little bit, and then pull out just a hair to get a little more on the left and a little more on the bottom. And hopefully if you did that, either this gentleman that's taking an additional picture would either be in the scene or out all the way. Composition is a 3, impact is a 3, technical is a 4.
Streets of NYC by Robin DeWolf, 10 points. The Eyes Have It.
This is a really nice manipulated image. It's a good title. Overall flat lighting. Again, no fault of the photographer. That was just the way the day was. I think would have really added to this would to see a little bicycle or a VW Bug or something like that, like over here somewhere. I think it would have really anchored this image instead of obviously looking at this mirrored image, because, you know, there's no question that this is this flipped. Just adding another element, I think, would have really enhanced this immensely. Composition is a 4, impact is a 4, technical is a 4.
The Eyes Have It by Lori Pence, 12 points. The Priest.
Love it. Love his positioning of his body. I love how the direction he is looking. It's a very good documentary image of this man. It's tack sharp. It's exposed perfectly. There is no loss of detail in the lights, no loss of detail in the darks, but yet still has has the sharp details of everything. The background is not too distracting. I would have simply liked to have seen a little more dramatic lighting. You know, I realize that that's bright sun coming down on him, but, you know, maybe a different time of day or something so that it would have brought that slightly golden hour into him, would have really warmed this up. And because the lighting that's on it is fairly cool, I'd like to see it a little warmer. Composition is a 5. I don't see how it could get any better than that. Impact is a 4 and technical is a 5.
The Priest by Alice Garland, 14 points.
Woo!
All right, then our final image for our digital judging is Two Sisters, Four Bound Feet.
You know, many of you know that I don't like long titles, and this one is pushing the envelope for me, but I think it's perfect. It tells the story. What I wrote down was, this is a very emotional and tells the story on its own, but the title instantly tells you they're sisters, and then so when you hear the title and look at this, you instantly look at their faces real quickly, and then when you hear the 4 bound feet, you look down there and go, oh wow, look at that. That's really cool. The title works and tells the story even more. The natural lighting is fairly flat, as was the case with many tonight. The framing is a little too tight on the left. See that? Give that a little breathing room. And I personally would have loved to have seen this in a square format. I think it would have worked out very, very well. Composition is a 4. Impact is a 3. Technical is a 4.
Two Sisters, Four Bound Feet by Alice Garland, 11 points. All right. Well, that concludes our judging for digital. And in about 2 weeks, we're going to come back again for the print judging, although we're not really going to be judging the actual print because of our existing quarantine conditions. So, Deke, thank you very much for all the efforts.
Thanks for putting up with us, guys. I know this was quite unusual compared to normal camera club, but hopefully Dennis and I made it so that everybody would enjoy it. And obvious, I think you guys either on your Facebook or on your website have a way to submit comments. I would love to see them, good, bad, or ugly. I'm dead serious there. If you disagreed with something, I absolutely want to hear it.
You want to unshare your screen?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, I think so. So we will see you in 2 weeks. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.